So why did you choose to move to Palmeston North?
I followed my wife there.
Yeah, we were like, a good reason.
Yeah. She was finishing her degree, this is a while back, and she said we were going to be there for 3 months. Yeah, so 15 years and 3 more kids. That 3 months hasn't ended yet. Yeah, but I like it. I love the community. There's diverse communities there. It's one of the refugee resettlement areas as well. So, and then you've got the Army base, the Air Force base. Like communities that have been there since the year dot as well. So it's a good place to be. Yeah, good place to raise kids.
So is it difficult to raise your kids away from your support networks?
My support networks, I've got pretty strong support networks in the Palmeston North. You take a community where you go, and I probably learnt that, I think I learned that from my grandfather, who was a really community person. It's not just about yourself, it's also about the community, and if you make it, then you've got an obligation to turn around and pick up the person behind you. And so wherever you are, that's where your community are, and you make a point to jump in and organise. So in Palmeston North, I'm well known around Palmeston North for organising on lots of different issues. So I had some rangatahi reach out to me that needed support organising Black Lives Matter rally as well. So I was pretty stoked to do that, and everybody came out and support. We had a really positive time together.
Yeah, so there's been huge support all around New Zealand for Black Lives Matter, and as well as standing in solidarity with people in the States. One of the things that's come through is that a lot of rangatahi feel like they can relate on some level to the systemic racism. So what do you think, the parts of the system that are not working well in New Zealand?
A lot of the similar issues around, racial profiling by the police and institutions, and this whole conversation about systemic racism is really, really important conversation to have, because you can still have, it's not about a bunch of racists within the system. It's actually about if you had 0 racists within the system and the system was still systemically biased against racial groups, then the outcomes would still be racist. So these are the conversations that we need to have. It's not just about individual bias, but of course if that's happening and it's incredibly toxic and dangerous, and I think of the white supremacist terrorists who attacked the mosques down there as well. When they get toxic, you have to deal with it. When they get dangerous, you have to deal with it. But we also have to look at the underlying causes which actually creates people like that. And that's where education comes in and is really, really important. So one of the things that we want to do is around civics education, so making sure that young people can actually participate in the system, they learn about it, what it means, all this other kind of stuff. But there's another dimension to that, and that is about learning to be a critical thinker, and also learning to know where your information is coming from. Is it from a reliable source? Because one of the things that I've experienced on this campaign is a larger number of conspiracy cranks coming up to me and climate change deniers who don't want to believe the obvious science, because they've actually disappeared down some YouTube rabbit hole. And so we need to give our people the tools to actually discern what is knowledge and what is not.
Question where your information's coming from, and that's a very worthwhile pursuit. Okay, so that's it for this part of the questions, and I have a few more questions coming up.